South Africa is sixth worst in the world when it comes to extortion and protection racketeering. That's according to the Global Organized Crime Index. South African businesses are battling an alarming increase, and the construction industry is hard hit by organized gangs, demanding large sums of money, sometimes as much as 30% of project costs, which they claim is for protection. But companies are being protected by the very same gangs who are extorting them. DW's Dianne Hawker has been following the story and sends this report from Western Cape.
Armed guards keep watch over this construction site in Drift Sands, Cape Town. Work is at a standstill here, with security brought in after gang members showed up, threatening violence if they weren't given money and jobs. One of the first things that we noticed when we got here was how tense the situation is. Even the provincial officials were looking around, they were nervous, and there are a number of security people on site with weapons, large weapons, who are guarding the site for two things. Firstly, to ensure that no residents invade the site and build structures here illegally, but they're also on the lookout for extortion gangs who have previously come to this site demanding payment and demanding that certain people get hired as part of the project. Contractor Mpomoloi says it's part of an ongoing problem.
We were stopped yesterday. We were here yesterday to actually hire the employees from the community, but we were stopped. It feels unsafe.
At least half a dozen other sites across Cape Town have been threatened. These are government construction projects. Officials say at this location alone, they'll have to pay 82,000 euros each month for security. This unplanned cost has put a dent in the project's budget.
We have a site that has been left vacant, or the contractor walked off site, which is now more than 19 months. We have seen a school which was earmarked for upgrading, again, because of the criminal activities and the demand for safety money or security money from these racketeering groups. That's just two of the 6 examples in the city of Cape Town.
In the last 6 years, there's been a massive spike in the number of reported cases of extortion. They have more than doubled. In response, South African police have created a dedicated extortion task force focused on making arrests. Police say they're dealing with organized crime groups.
We also have projects that are running that are focusing on those that are the organizers of this and benefiting from it without being involved.
People from the local communities often don't want to speak up, making it difficult for police to get convictions.
The challenge is that your organized crime groups quite often support the community. The leader in the area will provide resources to the grandmas and in that area. So it's very difficult in that respect for the community to stand up, because they're privileged from, or they get resources, food, anything from the syndicates.
Now, with the security team in place, work is on track to resume at this site. But extortion continues to drive up costs and fear in South African communities striving for progress.
Let's bring in Janine Erasmus, website editor at Corruption Watch. That's an advocacy organization in South Africa. Hello, Janine. So, extortion across South Africa. How widespread is the crisis?
Yes, good afternoon. We have found that it is actually getting much worse. We are not very clear about the full extent of the figures, because obviously, it's one of those things that you can't really track completely accurately. But I can tell you that the Minister of Police, that is Mr. Senzo Mchunu, has just a couple of months ago, he confirmed that the hotspots for for extortion at the moment are the Western Cape, which is the main hotspot. Then we've got Gauteng province, we've got KwaZulu-Natal province, and we've got the Eastern Cape. And those are the four main locations where we are seeing extortion growing and taking place.
What other sectors are affected?
We've seen that it started in the construction industry, I think in KwaZulu-Natal around about 2016. And since then, that particular extortion in that particular sector has spread to the country. We've seen it now in the taxi industry. We've seen it in the water industry. This is a new development, mostly in Gauteng province, where the so-called water mafia is active. They are taking advantage of the lack of maintenance of the water supply system in especially Johannesburg, and the failure for authorities to maintain and service that. They're taking advantage now of the frequent water interruptions to supply, to actually sell water to communities with tankers. And, although they might already have been paid by the municipality, but they still go to communities and they actually sell the water. So that's a new thing that we've seen happening in the last couple of years. And in Cape Town, for instance, there's one that we don't have in Joburg, and that is the CBD nightlife extortion industry. So they go around after dark to the many eateries and clubs and all that are open in Cape Town city centre. They demand protection money, and they generally and so that is something that we don't have in Joburg, but we have seen it in Cape Town.
So there are a lot of consequences. Implications are quite dire. Can you give us a sense of what the broader economic cost of this business of extortion is? Can it even be quantified?
It's very hard to quantify. I mean, I've been reading up on it quite a lot in recent months, and there are various figures quoted, but they all tend to run into the millions of rands. Especially, it's hard to quantify it because there are costs that cannot be quantified. For instance, a hospital that has not been built or that they cannot finish, there's a cost to the community because now they've got to seek their health services elsewhere. So there are those sort of, intangible costs. But there's definitely a lot of money changing hands. There's a lot of physical money changing hands, and that definitely runs into the millions.
Right. And why is the state struggling to combat this effectively? There are several reasons for that. One of the reasons is that the state has allowed extortion to become entrenched. They've allowed it to become normalized. Research has found that the best time to attack extortion is when it is still emerging. So if you leave it until it becomes entrenched, then it becomes very much harder to eradicate. And this is the situation in South Africa. The authorities have not acted quickly enough, and now it's entrenched, it's systemic. And the other thing is that our law enforcement agencies struggle to manage the situation, also because they themselves have been infiltrated by criminals who are looking out for their own interests. They don't want to be bothered. They want to be able to continue with their activities unhindered. They want impunity, and so they've subverted. Especially in the Western Cape, you've seen criminal elements have infiltrated the police force up to quite a high level. There have been reports written about that, research reports. So, there are, and because extortion has now become normalized, communities would rather pay that money rather than fight it and risk any harm to themselves. So this is, these are the main factors. Corruption, of course, also. There are various other factors, but those, I think, are the main reasons. Right. Very well articulated. Janine Erasmus, website editor at Corruption Watch. Thank you very much.
Thank you.